A trail camera set for wombats in northwest Tasmania caught 7 seconds of a striped, stiff-tailed animal moving through the undergrowth, an animal declared extinct in 1936. The camera was strapped to the trunk of a myrtle beech, low to the ground, aimed at a gap in the button grass and myrtle beach near the Arthur River. It was a wet afternoon. Rain on the lens. Nothing but the slow drip of a temperate rainforest for hours. Then, at the edge of the frame, something moves. It is low to the ground, long. It steps into the clearing with a stiff, deliberate gait, more careful than a dog, more rigid than a cat. And then it turns. As it turns, the light falls across its lower back, and there they are. Dark bands running across the hindquarters. Transverse stripes. Watch the hindquarters. That is where the whole case lives. 7 seconds. Then it is gone into the wet scrub. The file is dated almost a full century after the animal, it appears to show, officially ceased to exist. That is the gap you cannot walk away from. The thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, was declared extinct in 1936. And here it is, or here something is, walking through a wombat camera in the year we live in now. So, let me ground you in what this animal actually was, because the biology is what makes the footage impossible to shrug off. The thylacine was not a cat. It was not a dog. It was a marsupial predator, the largest of its kind to survive into the modern era. It carried its young in a pouch, the way a kangaroo does. It had a wide, unnerving gape, a jaw that could open far past what a dog can manage, and it had a tail that did not swing loose and wag. The tail was stiff, held out low and rigid, almost like the tail of a lizard. Keep that stiff tail in mind. It matters more than the stripes, and the stripes are why the animal has its name. The dark bands across the lower back. That is the single feature no casual glance can invent. The one detail that makes people who know the bush stop and look twice. So, you have a problem. The biology says this animal is gone. The footage says it is walking. One of them is wrong. Finding out which one is the entire investigation. But before we ask what the footage shows, we have to be sure the thylacine is truly gone. And that certainty rests entirely on one animal, a captive named Benjamin, and the September cold of 1936. Benjamin was the last confirmed thylacine, and he died at Hobart's Beaumaris Zoo in the September cold of 1936, reportedly from exposure and neglect, locked out of his shelter on a freezing night. Official extinction followed. That single death is the foundation of everything we call certain about this species. And yet, Tasmania never stopped reporting the animal. Since that year, there have been thousands of claimed sightings. Rangers logged them, farmers logged them, tourists on quiet forest roads pulled over, shaking, and wrote down what they saw. The reports did not trickle off with the decades. They kept coming, and they kept saying the same thing. Ask yourself why the description never changes. Same profile, same gait, same stripes, decade after decade. That is the part that snags on you. People who never met, separated by 50 years and 100 kilometers, describe an identical animal. Now, most of these sightings do not survive a hard look. A dog at dusk, a feral cat crossing a headlight beam, a spotted-tail quoll, which is real and native and easy to mistake at a glance. The honest filter throws out the large majority, but some accounts come from people who know the bush intimately, who have spent their lives reading tracks and shapes in low light, and those are harder to wave away. Walk their descriptions in order, and a single creature keeps assembling itself. The low profile, close to the ground, the odd stiff gait, more mechanical than a dog's, and the stripes, seen at dusk, banded across the lower back and hindquarters. The same animal, over and over, from witnesses who had nothing to gain. Here is where it gets hard to explain away. Over the years, physical traces surfaced too. Plaster casts of tracks poured on a workbench, claimed scat, bagged and sent off. But every one of them runs into the same wall. No confirmed DNA. Not once. Nothing that a laboratory could hold up and say, "This is thylacine." The evidence keeps arriving at the door and never quite steps inside. So we come back to the 7 seconds of footage, examined frame by frame. Skeptics have a case. Zoom in and the proportions could fit a mangy fox or a stiff-moving dog with a bad coat. Pixelation is treacherous. Light falling across a wet flank can invent dark bands where none exist. Shadows become stripes, but the supporters lean into the exact same frames. The way the tail is carried, held out low and rigid, the banding across the hindquarters. They argue those two details match no known living Tasmanian animal. So each easy answer gets tested. Dog, fox, quoll, hoax, and one by one they are put to the footage. What happens next is not that one explanation wins. It is that every single one leaves something unexplained. Notice what just happened. The answers didn't get simpler, they got fewer. Every ordinary explanation was supposed to close the case. Instead, each one shrank the list of things this could be, and left the animal standing there, still moving, still unnamed. That is the turn. When you test the easy answers and they all fail, the question doesn't go away. It sharpens. And this is the exact point where the people who spend their lives on this animal stop laughing and start arguing. Years ago, researchers at the University of Tasmania did something unusual. They took the sighting record, thousands of reports logged since the death of Benjamin in 1936, and they modeled it. They asked, coldly, mathematically, when the species most likely truly disappeared. And the model didn't land on 1936. It suggested the thylacine may plausibly have persisted for decades past its official extinction before finally fading out. Decades. That means the animal could have been alive within living memory, possibly beyond it. Sit with what that does to 7 seconds of trail camera footage. It doesn't prove anything, but it moves the idea from impossible to merely unlikely. And unlikely is where science lives. So the room splits. On one side, careful scientists who see exactly what you'd expect from a wet coat at dusk. Confirmation bias, bad pixels, stripes invented where light falls across fur. People want the tiger back, so their eyes hand it to them. That is a real documented thing, and these are not fools. On the other side, researchers who look at the same frames and see something the first camp can't dismiss. The tail carriage, the low gait, the banding across the hindquarters that fits nothing else on the island. They see the possibility of a relict population, a handful of animals clinging to the least visited corners of a wild place, patient enough, quiet enough, to have survived unseen in country almost no one walks. And here is the honest verdict. The footage is real. It has not been explained. The species is officially extinct, and there is no confirmed thylacine since 1936. Nothing produced, dead or alive, in nearly a century. The experts are divided not because someone is being stubborn. They are divided because the evidence itself honestly supports the division. Lay it out plainly. What is known? The film exists. The animal in it matches no living Tasmanian species cleanly. And the thylacine is gone on paper. What is open? Whether these seconds show a survivor, an imposter, or a trick of light, no one can settle. Sit with the question the experts can't close. If it is gone, what keeps walking through the frame? And why does the description never change? The same low body, the same stiff tail, the same stripes, told the same way across decades by people who never met. Next, we follow a track cast that vanished from an evidence locker before anyone could test it.